Hey everybody, it's Boardman21 and today's build is going to be a Shaman Poison Totem build using Tempest Strike, Avalanche, Ice Thorns, and Tornado. Tempest Strike being our main melee skill that we're going to be using, and Totem Poison basically being the source of our damage. Avalanche will obviously do some damage, Tornado does a little bit, Tempest Strike hits will do a little bit, but for the most part we're just proccing so much poison, minion poison, that we're just annihilating everything that we touch with toxicity of it. And with that, I'm going to explain the build a little bit and how it works and how I came up with it. So everyone knows that the idols are out there that on hit you can proc the summoning of your Thorn totems, and on the summon Thorn totems, most people, me myself included, we usually take the summon 5 totems all at once. On top of that, there's also the chance that you can make them freeze totems or you can make them poison totems. And if you take the poison totems, you can give them a 100% chance to poison on hit. You can increase the duration a little bit, and you can get to a 100% chance to make a poison cloud when their timer expires or when you summon a new 5 on top of them. Now, if you stack enough of those, which this was my idea, was how do we get the most poison clouds that are possible, was if you have 4 idols that have a chance to summon Thorn Totem on hit, and you were running Tempest Strike with Earth Spikes, which also has a chance to summon Thorn Totem, and you were getting as many hits with your other skills as you possibly could, how many Thorn Totems could you proc? And if you're watching the video on the screen that's running, you will see that we are just proccing it over and over and over again. Now, each one of those clouds is doing a 100% chance to poison, and every time you summon them, you know, they shoot out their thorns, and that has a 100% chance to poison. So you're stacking poison, you have 5 Thorn Totems doing it 5 clouds every time, and we can take beetles down in 5 seconds. You know, it is a dot build, so you have to stack up the poison damage for it to really start building. But we're getting probably between 500 and 1,000 stacks of poison. Minion poison, that is. But still poison altogether, and it's just absolutely crazy damage. So anyways, we're going to go through this build. I'm going to put it together. This is not a min-maxed build. I have not spent a lot of time gearing for it. It could do a lot more damage. You could do minion damage over time. We only have 1 item with minion damage over time on it, so, and that's just our weapon. So there is a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of room for survivability, and you could even play this as a druid and get a hold of the 125% increased protections when you do a crit hit, and that would probably in itself do a lot more for survivability. But like I said, with that, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, we're going to be running Tempest Strike, Thorn Totem, Tornado, Avalanche, and Ice. For Tempest Strike, we're going to be using this to proc Earth Spikes as much as possible, so that we have the 60% chance to proc Thorn Totem, because that is the only thing that we are after. So we put 4 points in Reinforced Stone, 1 point in Earthquake, and 4 points in Earth's Aid. We also have 2 points in Elemental Imbuement and 5 points in Empowerment, with 2 points in Thirsty Blades for a little bit of health on hit. For Summon Thorn Totem, we have this set up for summoning all 5 of them at once, and also for poison. So we have 3 points in Forested Expanse for the maximum number of totems, 3 points in Eternal Force to unlock Groove Mind, 1 point so that they are all summoned at once, 2 points in Memories of Edera to unlock the Poison Branch. We have 4 points in Venom Tipped Thorns. We did have 5 points, but we removed 1 to put 1 point in Nightshade Briar to give the hit damage per poison stack plus 4%. Since we're doing so many poison stacks, I wanted to try this one out and see what kind of hit damage we do, and it does alright. Also, the Poison Clouds is really the only thing we're after. We also have 2 points in Lasting Affliction for that 30% increased poison duration, and 4 points in Rotten Core, so that there's a 100% chance each time a totem disappears or times out or dies that it will release a Poison Cloud, which has a 100% chance to poison over time. And then we have Tornado, with Tornado, we're basically using this as an insta-cast, and we're just using it to fire some lightning out and to fire some orbs out so that it will hit enemies. We want it to do as many hits as possible because each hit that it does has a chance to proc your Thorn Totem, and we also did some mana efficiency and some movement speed. But what we got out of this is 1 point in Charge Storm to cast the lightning, 3 points in Lasting Storm so the tornado lasts longer, 2 points in Debris, 1 point in Churning Orbs so that it will now cast Storm Orbs, 4 points in Hurricane, 1 point in Eye of the Storm so that the tornado is attached to us, 1 point in Snapgale so it is now an instacast, 2 points in Storm Soul to reduce that cooldown recovery so that we can cast it more often. 2 points in this will take you from the 4-second cooldown down to a 2.7. If you don't have any mana problems, you can even put more points in here to cast it a lot more frequently. We also have 1 point in Aspect of the Storm with 4 points in Gust of Renewal for that mana efficiency and for mana regen. And then we have Avalanche. Avalanche is going to be set up as a cast and forget, also with full frequency so we can get as many coming down as possible. We have 1 point in Mountain Peak, 1 point in Precision, 1 point in Wild Path, 4 points in Unyielding Storm, 1 point in Hailstorm, 3 points in Naturally Occurring, 2 points in Explosive Impact, 3 points in Intensity, and 4 points in Stormfront for 20% more boulder frequency. And then for Ice Thorns, we didn't want this to proc on hit. We have it set up so that we can auto-cast it to make sure we're getting it as much as possible. We have 3 points in Anim Affiliate, 1 point in Thorn Shield, 4 points in Bulb Shield for a 40% chance to recast every time that we cast it, 1 point in Second Nature to make it an instacast with a 4-second cooldown, and 6 points in Floric Tides to get a 300% increased cooldown recovery, making us be able to cast it every 1 second. We also have 1 point in Cold Prison and 4 points in Piercing Code to give the Thorns an 80% chance to pierce. What this does is when you get to a bunch of mobs on the screen, every time that you fire that, each Thorn, which I believe it fires somewhere between 6 and 8 of them in each burst, will each have their own individual chance to hit a mob. And now with piercing, it means it can go through multiple mobs, especially with the increased speed and range that we gave it. That means you're going to get as many hits as possible, and each hit individually has a chance to proc your Thorn Totems. Between that, Avalanche, Tornado, and Tempest Strike itself, we have a huge percentage chance of basically every second summoning 3, 4, 5 batches of Thorn Totems, and even more the more mobs there are on the screen. When you hit a pack of trash mobs, it will actually lag you down to about 0 frames a second for a little bit because you summoned so many at one time. For items. For the idols, obviously we're going to want the percent chance on hit to summon Thorn Totem. After that, we also got lucky on a couple of these to get increased cold damage per active totem. The reason that's good is for your 5 Thorn Totems, that cold damage is also going to give Blizzard more damage. It'll also give Ice Thorns more damage, which means that you'll get more damage out of things other than just the minion poison, but the poison is going to do the most damage. We have a 10% chance, we have another a 9% chance, and then the one that we don't have is we have a 10% chance to cast an avalanche boulder at a nearby enemy on spellcast. This one's good because every time that we're casting Ice Thorns, which is every second, there's a chance for an avalanche boulder to go and do a hit. We didn't have a 4th one for a percent chance on hit to summon a Thorn Totem, but if we did, it would be better to run than this. This is all that we had at the moment. Now for gear. It is not min-maxed, and it's not even fully optimized. It's kind of more of a meme build going at the moment. So we went for some more minion damage over time, and what we ended up with was 2 rings that have increased minion damage over time with some dodge effects. And then at the same time, we were running a 4-piece set with health regen and elemental protection. We dropped the 2 rings, obviously, so we're kind of in the midst of 2 different builds. With that, I'll go ahead and show you my gear, but you're basically going to want to run whatever gear you want yourself. I can just tell you that the more minion damage over time, the faster you will clear waves, almost to the point where survivability is just a matter of killing things before they even get a chance to attack you. We are running a two-handed staff that has 291% increased damage over time for minions. It doesn't have the best suffixes. Instead of plus mana and chance to chill on hit, things like mana regen, plus all stats, or protections even would do you much better. Freeze chance would do well, minion damage would do well. You don't really need the cast speed up top. You could do cold damage, spell damage, anything for Avalanche to do more damage. But overall, this is what we're wearing. For passives, we have 20 points in the passive class. We have 2 points in natural attunement, 5 points in wisdom of the wild, 5 points in Tempest Born, 8 points in primal strength, and 1 point in rotbane. 0 points in beastmaster, 0 points in druid, and 87 points in the shaman. We have 8 points in Rejuvenation Totem, 8 points in Shamanic Infusion, 5 points in Teutonic Flurry, 8 points in Silent Protector, 10 points in Windbringer, 5 points in Shattered Heavens, 10 points in Protective Circle, 7 points in Ruin of Awe, 1 point in Elemental Shrines, 5 points in Swirling Maelstrom, 10 points in Ascendant Circle, and 10 points in Sky Armor. Now, as I said before I go into some gameplay here for you, this build is really determined just on the Shaman that we have it set up for minion poison damage. You could run this as Beastmaster. You could have 6 companions with you. I'd probably just run the 6 wolves so you can still get the on hits, and the poison would stack with the wolves poison, which means that you would be getting even more single target damage, plus the wolves would also let the enemies kind of chase them instead of you. Here you only have the totems. You could also run this as druid and get the 125% increased armor and protections whenever you do a crit. You can also run a solo companion. We definitely have room for it. You could probably drop tornado. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you some gameplay.